Hi, it's Sonia. Welcome back to my art channel. Today's going to be a sketchbook tour. I think I'm going to break it into two bits because it's quite a hefty one. And it is it's another altered abstract sketchbook. I've done a few of these. I've made a couple of videos on sort of my tips for altering sketchbook. They're not anything, I mean, it's pretty obvious, a lot of this stuff. But yeah, so if you're new here and of interest to you, check those out. But this one, I'd say it carries on. I think I've learned some different ways of working. I would say this one actually I've kept pretty consistently in just using the text area. So each page does have a boundary or a frame or border, and I kind of like that. This page already, I didn't realise this, but I can feel collage on it. So what I love, these are very much mixed media pages. I will try and talk about like interesting processes or fun things I've found through experimenting. But yeah, essentially anything goes in these. I'm really not precious about them. They could be chucked, altered, recycled, broken down again. But yet I get them to a stage where I'm like, oh, actually looking through them, I get ideas from them. I really enjoy them. I like the colours. I'm very much someone who, so depending on how I feel, I sort of gravitate to different colour combinations. I think I've gravitated towards abstract art a lot over the last 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many years. Maybe there's something very, I don't know. It's not in your, you're not told necessarily. Everyone's going to have a different response. You get to kind of express yourself, but not in a literally, I guess, writing out one's heart sort of way. It's just fun, and you get to muck around and play, and who doesn't want a bit of that, quite frankly. So, as I say, I can tell there's lots of collage on these pages, so I'm having to, which I've tried to blend in actually. So I know where the collage area is. This is here. I'm not sure it's going to show really on the page, but that is one of the fun things I've used a lot in terms of covering up areas. If I overwork an area or I don't like an area, I can come back in and collage it. A lot of the time, I was trying to answer a question on, is it hard to share so much of my work? Because it is a lot of it's unfinished. A lot of it I'm showing pieces that I don't love. I've kept them because there's something to learn from them. And I guess the answer is, I think I've made so much of it, I've almost desensitized myself to worrying so much about, in some ways, sharing work, because I've also found that I will go back and look in sketchbooks, and I might have really kind of for myself liked a piece, and then I'll go back and not like it. But I've had the opposite experience of when you go back for a sketchbook and you didn't love the work at the time, but you've left it because you're not sure, and then you're like, ooh, that was interesting. So yeah, like this, I don't know why I've left this just black and grey. I guess maybe sometimes I can't, oh my gosh, stop saying sometimes. Basically, should I say basically even? Here is some metallic pen. I have come in with some metallic pen just to test it out. What I liked about this is I'm still, even now, learning what different materials work on this sort of paper, on covering text if I want to cover it. And there is a bit of interest in letting it be a bit transparent, so letting the text come through. This page I kind of like, so I know. So though I have not dated and I haven't written notes in this one, though I think maybe the next altered sketchbook, I think I'll try and make an effort to do that, because I do like writing notes. Something about, for me, writing out in longhand that helps me remember, and it's just better for me for learning. I think I'll do that in the next one. This one though, I can just tell, sorry, I'm not very good at explaining. This page I can tell I had gouache that I was trying to use up, because I think this is a Winsor & Newton sort of red ochre on a palette. And here I've used a lot. I know in this sketchbook particularly, I've used a lot of jelly gouache up. My new, so, I got some jelly gouache because quite frankly, it was such a good offer. I couldn't resist it. I know I like it when it's fresh to use. What I'm doing now is only opening, I think I'd only open like one paint at a time and make sure I sort of use that up, because I don't want to be faffing around trying to, you know, I've seen online like you can, when they're dried up, come in and get them fluid again, but that's not for me. So yeah, but they do work. These are not, I don't think these are jelly gouache, but I will come to some pages. This is jelly gouache. They are great for, yeah, using in a very playful sort of naive way, because I don't worry. It isn't like, for example, I don't know what I've got here, you know. I mean, I could easily use quite a lot of this in covering up a page. I don't want to, unless I've got some on a palette that I'm going to wash. Yeah, I would probably more likely use a cheaper sort of child's poster paint. And it's just, this is a sketchbook. It's not like it's going to really see the light of day apart from me flicking through it now and occasionally if I get it out again. So there really is no need to go, yeah, to be using, not that I have any, like Daniel Smith or something. Personally, whatever anybody wants to do in their journals is, you know, no, like, I'm not going to make any judgments. See, but I actually quite like this. So this page, why I really enjoy these sketchbooks, this type of sketchbook, is because, so this, I think secondhand, this book cost me like $1 or $2 max. And what I love is, therefore, I would not probably want to make such quite basic shapes in even, because this sketchbook this is a watercolour sketchbook and a lot more. I don't know, I'd feel like with the paper, I have used a sketchbook, mixed media one, and made a recent abstract sketchbook tour, and I will do that again. I think it's made me braver, because I realise I like simple geometric shapes some days, and I like, weirdly, this colour, this red against, I know some artists will say, oh, contrast. So sometimes, oh my gosh, I'm saying sometimes again. From time to time, that's still mentioning time. Anyhow, I don't always need contrasts. I don't always need strong contrasts. I want to play with colour how I want to play with colour. This palette, I think, works for me, might not work for someone else, but I really like this spread. I don't know, could I repeat it? But this one's a little bit too basic, quite frankly. I could probably come back in. So one day, if I have I don't have enough room for any more sketchbooks, I could come back in and reuse this one. You could cover up pages, whatever. This is a bit of a weird one as well. I'm not sure what was going on that spread. Here, very simple. I don't want to cover this up because, or I don't mind that this is just to a super quick 3 minutes. Bob's your uncle. I made a load of shapes, but yeah, compositionally, it's something that grabs my attention or interest. The visual, what is it? I guess I like music too. I'm terrible at it, but I enjoy visually. I get a lot of pleasure visually looking at artworks, at just colour composition, contrasts. It just makes me happy, and I guess why maybe we're all in certain times drawn to abstracts or non-figurative work is it's a little bit of an escape as well from real life. Maybe there's just nothing I think you get to project your feelings onto a piece. I'm telling myself something. I'm telling, I guess, a story of my day, how I'm feeling. I get to express myself, but what anyone else thinks is up to them. Whoa. Yeah, and the other really good joy that I found is also, I like to do these really intricate doodly shapes from time to time, not every day. And then I've learnt, so this is with playing about with acrylic marker, because that would work on top of some of these paints. Here I'm just building up. If you can hear, okay, if in the background, you can hear trains, probably, I haven't got my microphone on, and there is the raspberry plants are brushing up against the window because it's windy, so that's the background noise accompanying this video. So yeah, okay. I'm just gonna flick through for a bit. I have talked about my process quite a lot in past videos, and it's pretty, I don't even know if one needs an explanation. I mean, you could probably tell the layers. If you do, I don't want to be like, because I have made quite a lot of videos, I'm going to be repeating myself. That's just how it's going to be. But on the other hand, if there's any questions, let me know. As I say, you can see there's a bit of washi tape. This one is not my favourite. The colours are not doing it for me. In fact, it's a little bit jarring. Yeah, but obviously at the time, I was quite happy with that. Or relatively happy. Interestingly, I've noticed, well, more recently with acrylic wash, you get some cracking some when you use it a lot too heavily. But I covered a floral piece with some gloss medium, and I've got that up on the kitchen wall. I'm quite happy with that. I quite like the cracking effect. That's the other great joy for me for art, is when you go in and you're like, oh, this is terrible, and then at the end of it, but then you muck around a bit more, you push it a bit more, and then accidentally, not necessarily, it's almost when you're not thinking, you're not so worried, you almost need to have a warm-up session. Okay, this is something I wanted to share. This type of sketchbook is also great if you are a little bit, and I was the sort of person who can procrastinate and be put off even going to a relatively cheap sketchbook, because you don't want to, like, the beautiful pristine page looks great, and then you come on, try and do, especially if you're trying to loosen up a loose picture, and you're like, oh, I've just mucked up, it was better blank. This did not feel like there was anything much to muck up. In some ways I was covering up text, so even it was a really nice warm-up exercise. And I know, again, previous videos I have spoken about how generally I like to start the day with an abstract, because it just gets me out of my sort of more critical, practical, trying to be a grown-up brain, and helps me connect to that part of me that really still enjoys colour, playing around, wonky lines, like continual learning. Like these. I got a book on. This reminds me. I got a book on seaweed from the library. Not to read. I'm definitely not a seaweed expert. I've got no idea. But I kind of liked the forms in that book, and it was a reminder. Like, you don't borrow different books from the library. I think it's easy to get, for me, I love a good routine. Some of a good routine actually keeps me quite creative, but also sometimes using the same sources, the same inspiration, going to the same, like, you need to switch it up. And it was a reminder, like, I don't always have to borrow the same sort of books from the library. I can just pick up a random one, and then, well, if it's got pictures in, and draw from it. Yeah. And I liked the forms that sort of came from my sort of experiment, sort of using seaweed as an inspiration. It was definitely not botanical. It's maybe you wouldn't even know that was a seaweed from a seaweed source. Here, this was just playing about with going back to basic shapes. This colour combination I really like. I like the black against this sort of beigey pink. There's probably a little bit, I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting looking back at this one. So you can see definitely these pages kept to a similar theme of gouache, jelly gouache covering it, because I was trying to use up this jelly gouache. And here I've rather excitingly gone out of the border, pushed I wondered, there was a bit of a period when I was doing this one, and I was like, oh, am I just getting a bit, am I just doing the same thing? Which is why I've got other abstract sketchbooks on the go at the moment, like a squared journal, and also using an old diary as an abstract sketchbook. So I think for myself, I need to switch up what sort of book or notebook, sketchbook I'm using to do abstracts in. And maybe I just have to accept I'm getting a bit of I do have a certain language. I want to keep, I don't want to do the same thing, but I feel I come back to these sort of shapes at times, and then I get bored and then I go on to something else. But yeah, I really like this page, weirdly. You can just, day to day, you could do other ideas. I did do actually once a 100-day abstract project. Doing one every day was a really good sort of way of making myself do it. There's no doubt about it. This is, for some people, would be considered super childish, super messy. And yeah, I embrace that. I embrace it here because I can. I know it's not distracting me from anything I need to be doing. It doesn't take long, but it gives me a lot of, visually cheers me up and gets me feeling excited and creative, and it makes me want to get my paints out and do more. This one I really love. Hold on, did I get, actually, how long is this video? I can probably get through it. Should I just quickly flick through this? I'm not sure there's much more needs to be said. As you can see, then I came back, I was like, oh, let's get the acrylic inks out again. Super. Whoa. I'm not sure if I wanted to come back to that page, but actually there's something with that green repeated. The other thing I like about this format is I did at times try and balance. It's almost like, not a triptych, but when you've got two pieces, and occasionally I'd let them try and bounce off each other, like similar colours, but I wanted them to work as a spread as opposed to just, but obviously as a single piece, if that makes sense. I have used, also to say, for people might be like, oh my gosh, you've spent so much time on this, but what has it led to? I would say it has led to a completed project for myself. And it wasn't about the result necessarily. I obviously got a lot out of the process. The process was, for me, kind of like therapeutic, to be honest. I always feel a little bit better for this sort of playful art. Like restored. It's not too, I don't tend to find abstract art frustrating, weirdly enough, or whereas I can when if I'm trying to do a portrait and get a likeness and it all goes to pot. And it has resulted, okay, this one probably, did I want to come back to these? No, one day I'll come back and alter this one. These have led, I always feel these sketchbooks lead on to more works on paper. They've freed me up. These sketchbooks have completely freed me up with working, which I've shown, on my art from the week, the sort of work on paper, and even when I've been doing some abstracts on canvas. I would like to sort of get more into collage on as well, adding more collage to pieces. I should do that on paper as well. So if I'm now going to work on a blank piece of paper, then I will get these sketchbooks out. Whoa, that definitely isn't finished. Have I got a bit of, when I want a bit of paper, do I have one at my desk? Yeah. See, look, this is fun. So this is my collage box, and already I'm like, oh, I'd love to come stick that back in. Might add just collage to it. This probably could add some more as well. Yeah, so I'll get a sketchbook out. I could use this as the basis just to get me going, and then generally I'm not one for necessarily copying an abstract from an abstract, but but it's a great leaping off point. What you could do if you are not precious at all, or you're like, oh, I really do need to get rid of some of these sketchbooks, is you could then cut out these pages and then assemble them, like make a massive piece and sort of make a quilt from collages. Would be a fun piece to have on the wall. I guess I was sort of thinking that sort of magnet grids. I really like that. See, how would I repeat? And it wasn't necessarily, I wasn't putting too much thought into the pencils. This is with Prismacolor. I think it's on Inktense. Again, next time I think I'm going to make notes. Used up gold a lot. This is not. Okay, yeah, there are actually quite a few pages that I would come back and change up. I was testing out acrylic. I got these, there's a video, Artex acrylic markers, and I was really testing them out to see. They're a bit, I found these a bit, sometimes they work really well and they're super smooth, and other times I find them a little bit scratchy. Here, just to say, I love, okay, I know that there are traditional rules and techniques, and that's the way of probably getting the best out of your materials. I sometimes want to not listen to anybody else's advice and just try, for example, this is watercolour on gouache. I know this is, and maybe you shouldn't be, I'm not sure if one should be doing this, but I want to just experiment myself and test. I mean, obviously I don't want to do anything dangerous like combine completely crazy chemicals or anything, but I want to do silly things, quite frankly, when in my art, because day to day, try not to, if I can. Some people may, yeah. But the point is, yes. Oh, this one I didn't like. Here is another quick, well, I wanted to share this one as well. Something I've learned, did I explain this in a, I don't know, is if you hate, so I didn't like this page. It was very, I used a charcoaly metallic gouache and I'd sort of been very scribbly. I could go further with this. I've used a white gouache to cover it up, or metallic gouache. You could go much more opaque, and so you can then just block out with your, you know, your one block colour and just leave some shapes. That's quite a fun thing. I've also done it in terms of you can transform abstracts into sort of more loose still lifes and use them as backgrounds for portraits, because then you could just play around if you like, if you're into vases and you want to do some ceramic vases. Say you've been on holiday to a museum and you've been drawing old Greek vases or whatever the vases they've got, you could then do the shape on here, cover it round it, and then yeah, you've got your fun, I don't know, it's just fun to play about with. This, I kind of enjoyed this page. I cut up some of the old illustrations from these books and I've put them into the piece. If one is a bibliophile, I guess this is a horror thing to see, so don't watch, but if you also are aware that, you know, a lot of these books get so many books, you'd hope that also if people are, they're damaged or been priced at $1, they're not going to be, I don't know, maybe you've had a book that you absolutely hated. You could like, it annoyed you tremendously. If it's a hardback, you could and no one wants it, you could recycle it. You can also play about with that whole leaving little words in as well for how you're feeling. Yeah, I didn't like this charcoal grey, but I used it a lot. I tried it out towards, well, and there's another page. See, it's good I'm going through this. I would have just, oh, the pens were so irritating me. Then I was like splatting them on, and it reminded me, oh my gosh, these splatter effects are fun. Why don't I do that more? Engraving, layering some of those tempera sticks, and you can really scratch out. If you get them fresh, you can scratch out with them. And this was so fun. It reminded me of what I got some for the kids when they were for a party exercise to, you know, those black, you can make them. So when you do all the crayons and you cover it with black crayon, and then you scrape through and you've got like a rainbow scrape. Well, I don't know the term for this. What's it called these days? Rainbow scraping, whatever. You can do your own. Basically, this is a layer of gouache, put on these tempera sticks, and then you like scrape through. I can show you that as well in a video if you want to see. Whoa, keeping it. The colours though. This works. They're circles. Nothing original here. Absolutely nothing original. But I got to choose the colours, and the colours make me feel. These are nice. Green's always kind of, you know. If you're into the feeling colours, these are great sketchbooks to play about with. I loved this. I think it's run out nearly, but this was a nice colour, and I wanted to try the white acrylic marker on top. Okay, and then I was trying out some other acrylic pens, brush pens, and it feels a bit like you're building like a quilt, and also it reminded me of kids' blocks. You know when you had the coloured wooden blocks and forming a bit of a sculpture, but this is like a 2D doodle sculpture. Whoa, went really maximalist. I think I had some scratchy old pens. Occasionally I try and go through pens and work out what I need to use up. I don't want things to, I've learned the hard way with some paints that have really dried up, you know, use what materials are hopefully to be used. You don't want them to lie around for so long that they so certain things last for years, for example watercolours, but other things such as these jelly gouaches you've got to keep an eye on. Okay, I'm near the end of this, and that is it. Is this a long video? Probably. Thank you for watching. I hope maybe if you're into abstract art there's some ideas in here, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.